The night was quiet on Colony Station Delta 4. Floating above a dying moon, the station blinked with small lights like stars in the sky. Inside, a man named Ray Walker sat alone at his workbench, fixing an old drone. His hands moved slowly, but his mind was elsewhere. He hadn't slept well for weeks. War was coming again. Ray wasn't a soldier. He was an engineer, a fixer of broken machines. But war didn't care. It came anyway. Ray looked out the window at the endless black. He used to love space. Now it felt too big, too empty. A soft beep on his panel made him sit up. It wasn't a repair alert. It was a signal unknown origin, weak, almost fading. He adjusted the receiver. The signal repeated every few seconds, static. Then a voice. Broken. Faint. Help. Please. Ray froze. It didn't sound human. He checked the location. It was close, only a few hours away in deep orbit. Too close to be ignored. He hesitated. It could be a trap. Pirates were common in this sector. But something in the voice? It didn't sound like a threat. It sounded scared. Against better judgment, Ray set course. 3 hours later, Ray's ship hovered near the source. His scanner picked up a small pod, half destroyed. It was turning slowly, tumbling through space like a dead leaf in the wind. Ray used his grappler to pull it in. The pod hissed as it connected to his airlock. He checked the seal, then opened it. The air inside smelled burnt, sharp, and strange. But something else hit him: movement. Inside, he saw a figure. Small, curled up, fur, ears, a tail. It wasn't human. Ray stepped back. The creature was barely breathing, cuts on her arms. Her, matted with blood. But her eyes wide golden locked onto his. Don't hurt me, she whispered. Ray didn't move. His heart pounded. The creature looked young, maybe 20. Her voice was shaking. She coughed. Her whole body shivered. I won't, he said quietly. You're safe now. She passed out. Ray laid her on the medcot and connected in 4. Her species wasn't in the standard database. Unknown. But close enough. He did what he could: cleaned her wounds, bandaged her arm, covered her with a thermal blanket. She slept. For hours. When she woke, she stared at him, then looked away. Where am I? My ship. I found your pod. You were lucky. She blinked. No, not lucky. I was running. From who? She hesitated. The Zarn. Ray stiffened. That name was whispered across stations. A new force, violent, spreading fast across systems. No mercy, no warning. I was a scout, she said. They destroyed my planet. Ray didn't speak. He saw it in her eyes: loss, terror, rage. He knew that look. He had seen it in refugees, in soldiers who came back broken. What's your name? He asked. She looked down. Lara. He nodded. I'm Ray. Silence filled the cabin. Outside, the stars kept moving. Over the next few days, Lara healed slowly. She spoke little but watched everything. She walked softly like a cat, moved fast. She was smart. Fixed parts of the ship he hadn't even noticed were broken. Ray noticed other things too. She jumped at sudden sounds. She avoided sleep. And when she did sleep, she screamed. He never asked what she saw in her dreams. One night, Ray found her sitting in the cargo bay, staring at the stars. They'll come here too? She said. Who? The Zarn. They don't stop. Ray sat beside her. Then we fight. She looked at him. You're one man with a broken ship. Ray smiled. Better than sitting and waiting. She didn't smile back. But she didn't argue. Then, 3 days later, it happened. The station went dark. All systems down. Emergency lights only. Ray ran to the control panel. No signal. No power. He turned to Lara. Her ears were up, sharp. "They're here," she said. A second later, the alarm blared. "Incoming vessel. Unknown code. Large. No response to hails." Ray looked at her. "You sure you're ready to fight?" Alara stood tall. Her tail flicked once. "I was born ready." The war had found them, but neither of them would run this time. Asterisk, the alarm kept ringing, loud and sharp. Red lights flashed across the ceiling. Of Ray's ship. The unknown vessel was getting closer too fast to be friendly. Ray stared at the scanner. Big ship, no signal. No ID tag. No answer on comms. He turned to Alara. Her golden eyes were fixed on the screen. "No fear, just focus. That's not a scout ship," she said. "That's a hunter," Ray nodded. "They tracked you?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. He moved quickly, powering up the ship's shields. Weak, half damaged, but better than nothing. Weapons? Only 2 small plasma cannons. They'd do little against a war-class ship. Still, Ray powered them up. Alara stepped beside him, tapping the console with fast fingers. "What are you doing?" Ray asked. "Changing your targeting software. It's too slow." "I can fix it." Ray raised an eyebrow but didn't stop her. The enemy ship stopped moving. It just hovered, watching. Ray held his breath. Then it fired. A bright red beam shot across space, hitting the station nearby. The whole top deck exploded into fire and metal. "They're not after us," Ray said, shocked. "They're attacking the station." "They are cleaning the area," Alara said coldly. "They always do." Ray grabbed the mic. "Station Delta 4. This is Ray Walker. Get out of there. Evacuate. Repeat, evacuate." No reply. The next blast hit the engine core of the station. It lit up like a small sun. The ship rocked from the shockwave. "Hold on," Ray yelled. Alara grabbed the side rail. "They won't stop until everything is gone." Ray turned the ship hard, flying away from the flames. His hands moved fast, sweat running down his neck. The ship groaned from the strain, but the enemy didn't follow. "They're scanning," Alara said, "looking for survivors. They'll come after us next." Ray cursed under his breath. He had no idea how to outrun a ship like that. But then Alara leaned forward. "Take us into the dust belt," she said. "What?" "That place is suicide navigation's blind in there. They won't follow. Too dangerous. But I know a path. Trust me." Ray looked at her, eyes steady, voice calm. Like she'd done this before. He didn't trust many people. But right now, she was all he had. "Strap in," he said, "and guide me." The dust belt was a wide cloud of floating rocks and metal. Chunks remains of an ancient shattered moon. Visibility was near zero. The ship's scanners blinked and failed every few seconds. "Left," Alara said. "Now right, sharp." Ray followed her directions, barely dodging massive rocks spinning. In the dark, every second felt like a punch to the chest. One wrong move and they'd be crushed. "You've done this before?" he asked. "Twice," she said. "Only one time I lived." Comforting. But she smiled for the first time. Just a little. They came out the other side, engines overheated, hull scratched, but alive. The enemy ship didn't follow. They were safe. For now, Ray landed on a nearby mining moon, cold and quiet. No people. No signals. Just darkness and dust. He powered down. The shipman sat back, breathing hard. "We need a plan," he said. Alara sat across from him. She was holding a small silver disc in her hands. "I have something they want." "What is it?" She looked at him, serious. "A list of their plans, codes, targets. I stole it when I escaped." Ray's eyes widened. "You have their war plans?" She nodded. "I didn't mean to, but now I do. That's why they'll keep coming. Until I'm dead. Ray leaned back. So you're not just a runaway. You're a key. She looked away. I didn't ask for this. He stood and walked to the window. The stars outside didn't feel safe anymore. Not with ships like that hunting people like her. Then we can't run forever, he said. We need allies. A way to use what you... No. No one will help, she said. No one believes until it's too late. Ray looked at her again. I will, she blinked. Why? He paused. Then said, because I'm tired of fixing things after they break. That night, Ray watched her sleep. Her ears twitched. Her tail moved slightly. She looked peaceful. For once. But in the silence, he couldn't shake one thought. This wasn't just about helping her now, It was about stopping something much bigger, and he had just stepped into. A war he couldn't escape. The mining moon was cold and quiet. Too quiet. Ray didn't like it. His ship sat inside a dark canyon, covered by rocks and a signal mask. It would hide them. For now. But Ray knew that hiding never lasted long. Elara sat at the small control table, her golden eyes staring at the stolen silver disc in her hand. It was warm to the touch, always humming softly. She hadn't let it go since they escaped. Ray walked in with 2 steaming cups. Still nothing from the station? She asked. Ray shook his head. No survivors. The cums are silent. Either no one made it, or no one dares to answer. They drank in silence. Then Elara said, they use fear. Silence is their weapon too. Ray looked at her. You've seen it before? She nodded. My world was full of noise. Music, stories, joy. The Zarn came. Now there's only silence. Ray looked down at his cup. I don't get it. Why destroy everything? Why not take over instead? Elara touched the disc. They don't want control. They want removal, like cleaning a board before starting a new game. Ray frowned. So what's on that disc that's so important? She tapped it softly. Names, coordinates, codes. They're planning something big. Bigger than a war. A purge. Ray stood and walked to the console. Then we need to tell someone. Who? Old contact of mine. Name's Brax. Runs with the Outer Reach deep space smugglers, some ex-soldiers. Not clean people, but they hate tyrants more than they love profit. Elara's ears flicked. Can we trust him? Ray gave a half smile. No, but I know how to deal with people you can't trust. She nodded. Then let's move before the next scan. Ray looked out at the dead sky. We'll leave at first light. If this place even has light, hours passed. The ship rested in the shadows. Ray tried to sleep but couldn't. Too many thoughts. Too many unknowns. He stepped outside, helmet on, and looked at the stars. Elara joined him, her tail wrapping around her waist for warmth. You don't sleep much, she said. Never could. Too many nightmares. Even before the war. Elara didn't ask about them. She understood. Instead, she said, we were raised with stories. Of space, of travel, of meeting other kinds. Peaceful stories. But now I only believe the dark ones. Ray looked at her. Like what? She was quiet for a moment. Then, there's an old tale. When our kind lose their homes, they find a Starborn, a protector. Someone they can trust. It's rare. Only happens once. Asterisk. There's an old tale, Elara said, her voice soft under the stars. When our kind lose their homes, they find a Starborn, a protector. Someone they can trust. It's rare. Only happens once. Ray turned. Toward her. The canyon wind made their helmets hiss. And what happens when they find this? Starborn? They stop running. Ray didn't say anything. He looked at her, really looked, and something inside him shifted. He wanted to say something back, but alarms started flashing inside his helmet. Motion sensor, he said quickly. We've got visitors. They rushed back to the ship. Ray checked the radar. 3 ships, fast and low. But not Zarn. Smaller, different shapes. A mix of parts and paint. Bounty ships, Ray muttered. Scavenger class. Someone's hunting us. Elara narrowed her eyes. Could be Brax, could be worse. Ray didn't wait to find out. He powered up the ship silently, trying not to trigger their sensors. But it was too late. A message blinked onto their screen. You've got something that doesn't belong to you. Hand over the girl or burn. Ray didn't answer. He stared at the message, jaw tight. Elara didn't speak either. She just walked to the weapons console and began powering the plasma guns. You sure? Ray asked. She looked at him, calm. They're not here to talk. Ray nodded and pushed the thrusters. The ship rose into the sky. The bounty ships chased instantly. The moon sky was full of smoke and sharp rocks. Ray flew low, fast, dodging cliffs while Elara locked onto targets. Left, she called. A rocket hit the edge of a mountain and burst into flames behind them. Shrapnel rattled off the hull. Hold them steady, she shouted. Ray twisted the ship sideways, giving her a clear shot. She fired. The closest ship exploded mid-air, spinning into the ground. The second ship came from above, firing rapid plasma bursts. The whole cabin shook. One of the rear thrusters sparked. We can't win a long fight, Ray yelled. Then don't fight long, Elara said. She typed fast, rerouting power. Ray saw what she was doing. You're overloading the plasma coil. She didn't stop. Open the bay doors on my mark, she said. The last ship locked on. Mark. Ray hit the switch. The back doors opened. Elara threw the coil into the open air hut, glowing. The chasing ship didn't expect it. It flew straight into the charged plasma cloud. Its shields failed. A second later, it burst into fire and fell. Silence returned. Ray pulled the ship out of the canyon and into orbit. Smoke trailing behind, but they were alive. He turned to Elara. That was insane, she shrugged. It worked, Ray smiled. Remind me not to argue with you. They reached the edge of a gas giant's orbit 6 hours later. A dead relay station floated there, old, broken, but still sending a faint signal. Ray used a private code. A minute passed. Then a voice crackled through. Well, Ray Walker. Either you're lucky or you're stupid. Ray sighed. Hello. Brax, I hear you've picked up something warm, fuzzy, and very expensive. Ray's eyes narrowed. I need help, not jokes. You know my price. Ray looked at Elara. She gave a small nod. She understood this was dangerous. But there was no other path. We're coming in, Ray said. Brax's ship was huge. Rusted, patched, but armed like a war cruiser. A mix of stolen tech and outlaw genius. The docking claws locked them in like a beast taking prey. Inside, Ray and Elara stepped out. Brax stood waiting with a half smile. He was tall, broad, and carried 3 visible weapons. So this is the cat girl? He said, amused. She has a name, Ray said. Elara. Brax raised his eyebrows. Elara. The one with the disc. The Zarn war codes. I should sell you both right now. Elara met his gaze. You could try. Brax stared at her for a long second, then laughed. I like her. He turned serious. You have something big. But now you're in deeper than you know. The Zarn aren't the only ones looking for you. Other powers want that disc. Quiet powers. Ones that smile while they cut your throat. Ray stepped forward. Then help us use it. Spread the data. Make it untraceable. Brax scratched his beard. Dangerous move. Dangerous girl. Dangerous. Mission. He leaned close. I love it. Later that night, as the data upload began, Ray and Elara sat in the observation deck. She looked out at the stars again. You believe in star bonds yet? She asked. Ray thought for a long moment. Maybe. I'm starting to. And far away, in the black distance, something began to stir. The Zarn knew, and they were coming. Asterisk. The upload didn't go as planned. Inside Brax's command room, the screens flickered. The silver disk sat connected to a multi-node server, transferring its files into a secure data net that reached across the outer reach. Ray, Alara, and Brax stood watching as lines of alien code flashed across the screen. Then the lights dimmed. The power cut for exactly 7 seconds, no more, no less. When the lights returned, the screen said, "Transfer failed. External interference detected." Ray stepped back. What just happened? Brax slammed the console. That's not a glitch. That was a trace pulse. Alara's fur stood up. They found us. Ray stared at the disk. Can they track it that fast? Only if someone helped them. Brax growled. He looked around the room. There were 6 other crew members nearby Brax's people, all skilled, all dangerous, and suddenly, all possible traitors. Alara placed her hand over the disk and pulled the cord. We can't stay here, she said. Ray agreed. We leave now. The longer we wait, the closer they get. Brax frowned. You think I'm letting that data off my ship again? Alara looked straight at him. If you don't, your ship will be ash in an hour. Brax hesitated. For the first time, he didn't smile. Then he turned to his crew. Prep their ship. And sweep for any planted beacons, now. They left in silence. Ray's ship powered up, quieter than usual. Brax walked them to the docking bay alone. You made my ship a target, Brax said as the doors opened. Ray stepped in. You said you loved danger. Brax handed him a small data stick. This is a partial copy of what we got before the trace. It's not everything, but it has names. Human names. People helping the Zarn from inside the colonies. Ray's jaw tightened. Traitors? Brax nodded. High-ranking ones. You're not just fighting aliens now, you're fighting your own. Ray took the stick. Thanks. Don't die. Brax said, You're too interesting. Hours later, deep in open space, Alara stared at the data. Her ears twitched. These names. I recognize one. Ray looked up from the pilot's seat. Who? Captain Relvin. He visited my world before. It was destroyed. Said he came to help, but he left 2 days before the attack. Now I see why, Ray cursed. And this guy's still active? Last seen on Riza Station, she said. Ray set a course. Then that's where we're going. Alara hesitated. It's dangerous. Riza is a trade hub. Full of eyes, agents, spies. Ray smiled grimly. Good, let them look. Maybe we'll look back. They jumped into Riza orbit 12 hours later. The station looked like a giant wheel, spinning slowly. Lights flashed. Ships docked and left. It looked peaceful. Ray didn't believe it for a second. Low profile, he told Alara. Cloak up. No weapons in sight. She pulled her hood forward. Her fur disappeared under the dark fabric. Only her eyes still glowed faintly. Inside the station, the air smelled of fuel, spice, and sweat. Markets, machines, travelers from 50 systems, and hidden among them, someone watching. Lara suddenly stopped. I feel it, she whispered. Ray scanned the crowd. What? Someone's following us. He looked around slowly. Saw a man in a long coat. Then another, pretending to shop. Too still. Too alert. Split up, he said. Meet at Dock 47 in 10 minutes. She nodded and vanished into the crowd. Ray walked fast through a maintenance hall, then ducked into a storage room. Footsteps followed. He waited. When the door opened, Ray struck first, grabbing the figure and slamming them into the wall. Why? Are you following me? He snapped. The figure gasped. A young man, scared, shaking. I was sent to warn you. Ray froze. Warn me? The man nodded fast. They're not just after the girl. They're after what she can unlock. Ray narrowed his eyes. What do you mean, unlock? She's not just a survivor, the man whispered. She's the last of her kind. And she carries something. Old, ancient, biological. The Zarn want it back. Ray felt cold. Before he could ask more, a sharp crack rang out and the man dropped to the ground, dead. A sniper. Ray ducked and ran. He found Alara waiting at Dock 47. They're here, he said. I know, she replied. They're already inside the station systems. Ray opened the hatch and pushed her inside. Then we're leaving. As they launched, the comms lit up. You can't run from your blood, said a voice, deep, metallic, almost familiar. Ray looked at Alara. What did they mean? She didn't answer right away. Then she whispered, There's something inside me. Something I don't fully understand. Ray watched her. This war wasn't just about data anymore. It was about her. Asterisk. Ship moved in silence. Ray sat in the cockpit, hands gripping the controls too tightly. His mind spun, replaying the sniper's last words. You can't run from your blood. Behind him, Alara sat on the medcot, quiet. Too quiet. He finally turned. Talk to me, he said. What did he mean? What's inside you? Alara didn't look up. Her tail curled tight around her legs. I don't know everything, she said. But I was different. Even before the war. Ray stepped closer. How different? She looked up, eyes glowing faint gold. I was born during a storm season. On my planet, those are rare. Some elders called me a stormblood. Sighed. I had ... echoes. Ray sat across from her. What kind of echoes? She hesitated. Then slowly reached out her hand. Touch me, she said. Ray did. In that instant, something changed. For a second, his vision blurred. Time slowed. The hum of the engine stretched out like a whisper in deep space. He saw light old swirling like stars being born, and he felt her pain, her memory, a planet burning. A child screaming. He pulled back, breathing hard. What was that? Alara's voice was small. It's always been there. In my blood. I don't know how or why, but the Zarn, they do. Ray stared at her, shaken. They're not just hunting you for revenge. They want your blood, she nodded, and maybe more. Ray paced the small room, thoughts racing. So, what, you're a weapon? A key? A map? I don't know, she said. But whatever it is, it's old. Older than the Zarn. Maybe. Older than my species. Ray sat down hard. Then we need someone who does know. He stood again and walked to the nav panel. There's an old AI archive near the burned edge of Sector 9, Forbidden Zone. Abandoned centuries ago. Alara looked up. I thought that place was destroyed. Ray smiled grimly. It was, but the core survived. I once helped a scavenger get in and out. It's dangerous. No guarantees. Alara stood, eyes calm. Then let's go. The journey to Sector 9 took 10 hours. The space around the dead zone was filled with debris, ships torn in half, old satellites spinning lifelessly. The AI archive sat in the middle of it all, a black sphere, half buried in the husk of a broken station. Ray docked carefully. No lights, no signals. Place gives me chills, he muttered. AI Lara followed him in. Inside, the halls were cracked metal and shadows. The AI archive sat deep underground. They walked past rooms filled with ruined tech, long-dead security drones, and old bones. Finally, they reached the core chamber. A giant black column rose in the center. Ray tapped the control pad. Archive Core 01, Initiate. The air shifted. A soft blue glow formed in the air. A face appeared, digital, old and flickering. Identity: Ray Walker. Access level: gray clearance. Request? Ray stepped forward. I want to scan this individual, he said, motioning to Elara. Cross-reference with pre-collapse genetic archives. The eye turned its gaze to Elara. Subject: unknown hybrid. Blood signature contains non-catalog sequences. Processing. A pause. Then, confirmed. Subject is linked to origin class. Species, class, pre-Zarn. Function, unknown. Warning, subject holds latent evolutionary data. Designation, catalyst. Ray's heart sank. Catalyst? The AI's voice didn't waver. Subject may trigger dormant systems. Biological data embedded with signal keys. Catalyst can awaken deep code weapons, relic technology, or lost networks. Elara stepped back. I didn't ask for any of this. Ray grabbed her arm gently. You didn't choose this, but now we know. The AI continued. Alert: multiple signals detected. Zarn scout units approaching this zone. Evacuation recommended. Ray cursed. They tracked us again. Elara clenched her fists. They won't stop. Not until they have me. Ray stared at her. Then we stop them first. They ran back to the ship as distant echoes of metal. Footsteps echoed behind them. Ray powered up the engines as red dots filled the radar. 5 scout ships. Heavily armed, he said. Elara sat at weapons. Let's make it 6 wrecks. They launched, twisting through broken space, dodging debris and incoming fire. Elara fired twice, taking out the lead ship. Ray banked hard right. Hang on. They spun through the wreck of an old battlecruiser. The Zarn ships followed, but not fast enough. One clipped the metal and exploded. Elara locked onto 2 more, firing. Both vanished into fire. Only one remained. It fired. The blast hit the rear of the ship. Systems flickered. We're hit, Ray said. Shields gone. Before Elara could respond, a strange surge ran through her. Her eyes went white. Her body glowed faintly, and then, without touching anything, she sent a pulse of energy. Through the ship's system, the rear weapons fired by themselves. Striking the final Zarn ship dead center. It exploded. The ship powered down again. Ray stared at her. You did that, he whispered. She looked at her hands, shaking. I didn't mean to. Ray touched her shoulder. You're changing, and fast. Later, as the ship drifted into safety, Ray looked at the stars ahead. So, he said quietly, you're a catalyst. Elara didn't reply at first. Then she whispered, I'm also scared. Ray nodded. So am I, but we're in this together now. Behind them, space burned where the archive had been. Ahead, something bigger was waiting, and it was waking up. Ray stared at the flight console. The damage report blinked red. We lost half the systems, he muttered. One more hit like that and we're dust. Elara stood behind him, silent, her hand still glowing faintly. She hadn't spoken since the last blast. Her body was changing. She knew it. Ray could see it in her eyes. Something ancient was waking inside her. Ray, she said finally, voice low. I think I know where to go. Ray looked back. Where? Elara sat down and activated the nav screen. A new set of coordinates appeared. Deep space, far from any system. I didn't remember before, she said. But the pulse from the archive triggered something. A location, a final fallback from my kind. They called it the heart. Ray leaned in. A weapon? Maybe, or maybe something worse, she said. But if the XARN want me so badly, then this place is the key. Ray didn't argue. He plotted the course. They had one shot. The journey took 2 days. As they neared the coordinates, space changed. The stars grew dim. The silence was heavy. Even the engines hummed softer, like they were afraid to be loud here. Then, out of the dark, a massive shape appeared. Not a station, not a planet, something in between. A living structure covered in metal and stone. Ancient, sleeping. Alara whispered, "That's it." Ray slowed the ship and docked at the only open port. No lights, no power. Inside, the place felt like a tomb. Walls breathed, symbols pulsed. And at the center, an altar of light floating in the air. Alara walked toward it like she was being pulled. "Alara," Ray called. Wait, but she didn't stop. She touched the light, and everything changed. The walls lit up. The symbols spun. The whole structure began to move. Wake. Alara stood in the center, eyes glowing fully white now. Light poured from her hands, her chest, her spine. She floated above the altar. Ray ran to her, but an invisible force held him back. "Alara!" He shouted. She looked down at him, but her voice was layered, like more than one person speaking. "I remember now. What I was born for." Ray's heart pounded. "What are you saying?" "I was created, not born, the last vessel of the old kind. My blood is the key. My mind is the gate." "To what?" A pause. "Then, to the Zarn's end." Outside, the Zarn fleet arrived, dozens of ships. Black, silent, and massive. They surrounded the ancient structure. Ray watched on the screen. "We're surrounded. It's over." But Alara raised one glowing hand. "No," she said. "It's beginning." A signal pulsed from her chest, a deep hum. The entire structure responded. Beams of light shot out in every direction. The fleet opened fire, but the blasts were caught mid-air, frozen. Then one by one, the Zarn ships began to break apart from the inside. Ray watched in shock. "What's happening?" Alara's voice echoed. "They were made from stolen code, but the original still exists. In me, and I'm rewriting them." Ray stepped forward, tears in his eyes. "Come back. You don't have to do this alone." Alara smiled softly. "I'm not alone. You stayed. You believed." Her body pulsed again. "But I can't leave now. This place is waking. I have to stay connected. If I leave, it sleeps again. And the war continues." Ray shook his head. "There has to be another way." "There isn't, but I'm not afraid anymore." He stepped to the edge of the altar's light. "Then I'm staying too." She smiled through the glow. "No, you're the signal now." Ray's eyes widened. "What?" "You'll carry the message. That they can be stopped. That we fought back. That the smallest ship, with the right heart, can save entire worlds." The light rose around her. "I'll find you again," she whispered, "in the next cycle." And then she was gone, fused into the structure. The light burst out one final time. The Zarn fleet was gone. Silence returned. Ray stood there for a long time. Then he turned, walked to the ship, and flew away alone. Months later, a small outpost on the edge of the known galaxy picked up a strange signal. A man sat across from a group of children and soldiers, telling a story about a girl with golden eyes, about a dying world, about a fight that no one saw except him. Ray's voice was quiet, but steady. "She called me mate. I called her my friend, and together we broke the silence." He reached into his bag and pulled out a small crystal, the last thing she left behind. It pulsed softly. Still alive, still waiting.